gamers all around the world. New patch 2024 July. We're here. Some things have changed, some things have not. I do want to say, the devs did say there's going to be a bigger patch, I'm assuming next month, at the end of next month. So hopefully that changes up things a little bit more. Warning, warning, warning. This tier list is for entertainment purposes only. No gold players were harmed in making this video. And last but not least, this tier list is for open maps such as Dry Arabia at the Conquer top level Conquer tournament play. This Civ tier list does not reflect you not making villager for 40 seconds because you're eating your boogers, running your knights into spearmen, and then running your spearmen into TC. That being said, let's go with the best Civ. D tier. OTD. No bueno. Nothing. They didn't get a buff. And because they didn't get a buff in the last patch, I am assuming, don't know anything, I am assuming they're gonna get some kind of buff slash rework, because I'm thinking, if I'm a dev, the changes, the civs that got changed the most now, I feel like will not get much rework in the next patch, which should be in about a month, right? Because that makes sense. Why would you rebalance a civ if you plan to change something in the next patch, right? So the OTD received 0 buffs. There's no way that devs think that they don't deserve buffs. So I'm assuming they're gonna get something in the next patch, hopefully, because they suck. Now we're gonna keep this one for the end. I gotta keep the lunatics watching. I'm joking, lunatics. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. You are lunatics, but I'm not gonna keep it till the end. I might do it in the middle, just so you can watch the video the whole way through. Thank you. Next Civ, Rus S tier. Nothing's changed. They're still amazing. That's it. I mean, what can I say? They've been S tier at the top level forever, and they continue to be exactly the same. Now, they will be bounty rework. They said already, they've said that there's going to be a bounty rework. Don't know in which way this rework is going to be. Is it going to be how you get the bounty? Like, by not killing animals, maybe you get bounty other way? Is it going to be what you get out of the bounty? I don't know. I am assuming, and again, I don't know anything about this, I am assuming that low league players are complaining that they don't like the interaction of killing deer and wolves and yada yada. So if I was a dev and I want to make that easier, I would make Rus get bounty off of hunted animals, which means when you collect from deer or boar, you get bounty, right? That's what I would do. And if they're changing the way you get bounty, I would suspect that's what they're gonna do. But again, I don't know. We'll see what they plan to do with it. They said rework, they didn't say nerf. Maybe by reworking it, it's also going to be a nerf, right? Maybe if you get the bounty by collecting from animals, you don't get gold anymore. So maybe Rus will have to mine gold, right? There's a lot of possibilities there. And I don't know what's going to happen, but Rus might be nerfed in the next patch if the bounty system gets changed that way. So, yeah. Next civilization, French. They did receive 2 buffs, which one of them I completely forgot it exists. It's the cannons have like a new, or not cannons. Was it cannons? If you go the other Imperial Landmark, they have like a unique ability. I haven't even tested it. They did get a buff where you produce villagers 1 second faster in Dark Age, which doesn't even give you a full villager, if I remember correctly what we calculated. It's a very, very minor buff, and I think French is where I put them in C tier last time, and I think that's kind of where they're at. But there is a civilization that I'm gonna 0.75 vills. Yeah, I don't think that's quite that big buff. And I played some French, and you don't feel it too much, right? Now, next one did go up in tier list, and I think Ottoman was C tier last time, but I'm gonna give it a B tier. I played Ottoman a couple of games. I played against Ottoman. It definitely feels a bit better. So for those that don't know, in Feudal Age, each unit that you make is like 3 to 5 seconds faster producing from military schools. Now, the units are producing for like 60, 70 seconds. So if you think like, oh, but 3 seconds is not that much. These are units that are for free, activated all game. So you're constantly getting 3 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds faster units, depending which one you're making. And basically, the military schools now give you more resources per minute because of that. But not only that, there's another thing, which is, you know, instead of getting Sipahi at 6 minutes, now you're going to get Sipahi 5 seconds earlier, right? So you can do more with it. If you're defending, you're suddenly going to have another unit or 2 defending. So it might not seem like a big deal, but when these things are activated permanently 24/7, especially if you're going longer into the game, you do get a lot of value. And I have played some Ottoman in Feudal, and in my opinion at least, it was noticeable. So I will bump up Ottoman to a B tier. Next civilization is going to be Delhi. Very interesting. I'm not sure where I rated it last time. I think I rated it A tier. Delhi is more or less the same on land. What got interesting with Delhi is what we're not basing this tier list off, but I want to mention. Delhi got a lot better on water. A lot better. And Malian and Delhi received water buffs, but I think that Malian, I'm not super impressed on water, to be fair. I think it can be played on water, but I feel like Malian still has the same problem as it used to, which is it takes a little bit too long for your fishing ships giving gold to kind of pay off. But Delhi, for those that don't know, whenever you make a dock, the dock counts as mosque now, and it starts with a scholar. So whenever you make the first dock, you also get a scholar. So there's also been another change, which is fishing ship is 30 seconds to produce now. So Delhi, having a scholar inside, produces fishing ships in 25 seconds. When you make 5 fishing ships, right, Delhi will have 6. And that is quite a good advantage to have. Also, all your upgrades are for free. So I think Delhi on like actual water maps, not hybrid maps, like Baltic and stuff, is not bad at all. I don't know where I would put it in terms of like versus Jushi and China and HRE, but I think it's quite good. So I'm not moving them up the ranks because they are a lot better in water, but like I said, this Civ tier list is for open maps specifically, but just wanted to note that. Next civilization we'll be talking about is going to be, let's do Japanese, maybe? Yeah, I don't think Japanese is good. They did receive buffs, but funnily enough, the buffs that they did receive were for Atakek W Bune, which is their ship, and they received buff for Shinobi. If I was I don't know what I rated them last time. If I rated them C tier and I was like playing in lower leagues, I would probably put them up because Shinobi can now disable town centers, and it's very easy to do and a lot harder to prevent, I feel like. But at the top level, if someone sees you're making Shinobi landmark, they will make units and you will not be able to disable TC. So the only changes or buffs the Japanese got is that. They also got 5 extra HP on the archer, which, I mean, it's cool, but, you know, I don't feel like it's that great, to be fair. They're amazing on water maps, on hybrid maps. They're probably one of the strongest civs. Funnily enough, all the buffs that they got are like impacting the water even more. So on water hybrid maps, I would probably give them an S tier. They're very good, very good. On land maps, I'd probably give them a C tier. But overall, if you want to compare water and land civs, I would probably give them an A tier, you know, A minus, something like that. But land maps, no bueno. Next civilization we'll be talking about is going to be, let's do Malian. Again, I think Malian, very good. I don't think they had any changes except for the water change. So, in my opinion, they're still A tier. Can be very good, has some counters. That's just what it is. Next civ I'll talk about is going to be, I'm going to put JD right here next to French. I think it's in a very similar boat to French, although they kind of cater to different styles. Basically, if you want to play a Night Civ 1TC all-in, JD is the one to go. If you want to play 2TC, JD, then go French. That's about it. They're just a little bit weak. I think they need like very minor buffs to bump up, but I think the problem is they have like really expensive units in feudal, and then their economy is not as good as other civs. So it's like not only your stuff is more expensive, but your economy is worse at the same time. So yeah. Jushi Legacy, C tier. Don't think it's very good. It's at this point in the current meta, I feel like the only thing you can do with Jushi Legacy is 2TC or like Zugina Rush. You can also do a Castle Rush, but none of that is very good. And I don't see a situation where I would pick Jushi over China on land maps. Although, on water maps, Jushi is the best water civ. So, there's that. So if you're playing on Baltic or something, Jushi is the go-to civ and is the strongest civ you can pick. So on water, S tier, land maps, not so much. Next civilization on land maps that we're going to be putting is going to be China. I think China is very good or very mediocre depending on the spawn. Probably, in my opinion, the most spawn-dependent civ. Because you can run out of food very fast with China. And at the top level, if you're playing against China and you see that your opponent has very forward food sources, you can force them to fight, and then they just run out of food very early on. Farm transition is very hard to do. Your villagers produce faster, so you spend more food there. So you run out of food really, really quick. If you get like a mediocre to a bad spawn, I would give them a B tier. If you get like save deer pack, maybe save berry patch, and then like side berry and deer kind of thing, it can be an A tier, right? But overall, I would probably put them in B tier. Next civilization is going to be HR to the E. I'm going to give it an S tier. I don't know where I rated them last time, but this is one of the most common banned civs in the past couple of weeks since the last civ tier list. They're getting banned quite a lot. You see a lot of Rus HRE bans, you see a lot of English HRE bans, English Rus, and another civ that we're going to be talking a little bit later. So I'm going to have to give HRE S tier with the change that you get marching drills for free. What came out of it is actually people started experimenting more with HRE in feudal. So while that upgrade is good and it's very valuable, they actually received a nerf on it, but it doesn't matter. People figured out that if you make a lot of units in feudal with HRE and slowly add farms, that's a very good way to play it. So HRE, I feel like, is very, very strong. And one of the things, I don't know if they're going to change anything for it, but I do think they should nerf Chapel to 30%, or maybe even have Chapel, just flat 30. It's 40% right now. I would probably nerf it to 30%, because right now placing your farms under TC is too good, because your opponent can't really interact with it. And I've talked about this before. Any kind of interaction where you're sitting under your TC and you have all the economy is pretty bad for the game. And that kind of style is now developed with HRE, and their economy is very good. So English has a similar style, but they have very weak eco, so it takes a while to kind of get to that point. HRE under Chapel gets the farms up very fast, and then the farms are boosted as well. So I would like to see that. Chapel nerf, maybe like buff them somewhere else if that's needed, but I don't even think that would be needed. Next civ we'll be talking about, and I'm not sure where I put it last tier list, but I was already, I think I put it in S tier, and I was already hesitant with this civ putting it in S tier last patch. So in this one, it did receive a nerf, 2 nerfs actually, and that civ is not Byzantine, that civ is Ayubid, and I'm gonna have to give Ayubid A tier. Couple of things changed for Ayubid. Number 1 change is Military Wing now has a delay of 15 seconds on Desert Raider. Eco Wing in Castle gives 1 worker less, and they did buff the Trade Wing, the Atabeg Wing. And So now you see a lot more Atabeg, which is kind of cool. People are playing around with that. Now these nerfs are not massive, I would say. You know, military wing delayed by 15 seconds, one less worker in castle. So these are not huge changes, but at the same time, it is a nerf, and I feel like people figured out a little bit how to play against them. And on top of that, I thought about it earlier today. Like, people don't ban Iobid forever now. Even when Iobid was considered S tier by everyone, there were just civs that you would prioritize more. If it was water, it was China Jushi. If it was land, it was Rus English or HRE. So it was never really banned. And even now that, you know, that it's not banned, you don't see it first picked. So I think people figured out how to play against it. Rushing naked castle and then spamming camel lancers is also not really a thing anymore. I think it's a very good civ, very flexible civ, but it's not on the ranks of HRE and Rus. Next civ we'll be talking about is going to be Mongol, and I'm gonna give Mongol a solid B. It did receive buffs. Mainly TC is 50 wood cheaper. Are we gonna see suddenly Mongol to TC? No. I think trade Mongol is still better, and I hope that there's more changes coming to Mongol. And there is one change coming, which they announced. Next patch, Mongols will have something that you can make out of deer stones called Khan Hunters. Now, we don't know what they are, we don't know what they do, but considering we have Mengudai, Horsemen, and Keshik, I am doubting that they're going to be fighting units. I think they might be some kind of special scout. A lot of people are suspecting it's going to be like a pro scout. Again, I don't know. It wouldn't make sense if they like are some kind of Mengudai or horse archers. It also wouldn't make sense if they are like melee horsemen. So I'm assuming it's going to be something for the economy to hopefully help the 2 towns that are Mongol playstyle. So we have an option between trade Mongol and 2 TC Mongol. But like I said, we'll see. I'm hoping it's good because I miss playing Mongol. I love Mongol, but it's not that good right now. Next civilization we'll be talking about is going to be Abbasid. I think Abbasid is a solid A tier. Again, it's a civ that doesn't really have counters, in my opinion. It can be played against pretty much everything. It's also great on water maps, great on hybrid maps. So all around, very good civ. And it's a macro civ, it's a boom civ, but it's also one of the most flexible civs, in my opinion, because you can do so many things with Abbasid. So love that. And then next we got English, which did receive 2 nerfs. One is King comes out 15 seconds later. I think it's 15 seconds later than it normally does. So I think it was 30 seconds before, now it's 45 seconds. Still very good, still does the same problems to the opponent as it did. There's some better timings versus King, but it's still annoying. 35 to 50, okay. Still good. And then they nerfed White Tower production speed from 100% increase to 75%. So instead of White Tower being 2 archer ranges or 2 stables or 2 siege workshops or 2 barracks, now it's 1.5, right? So still pretty good, right? Still pretty good. It's a keep that acts as any of the production buildings. They did slow down English a little bit, but it's still very much playable, and King is a bit less obnoxious to play against. And my favorite civilization to play that has the most passionate fan base. They're not crazy, guys. Stop saying that in the chat. Guys, stop calling them lunatics. Stop. They're very passionate about their civilization. And in the last patch, they have nerfed the farms. They don't anymore cost 60 wood, they cost 70 wood. Which puts them at S tier. Yeah, nothing's changed. Byzantine is still very good. You know, I don't know what to say. I'm surprised that the Civ received no changes. I'm also surprised that HRE received no changes. English did receive changes. Rus, like I said, I'm not very shocked that they didn't do anything for Rus because they are reworking it. So maybe that's gonna nerf them already. But that is it. That is the tier list. Now, some of the potential changes that I think we might have, I think OTD will get some kind of rework. I'm hoping French and JD get some help. I hope Jushi gets something to make them less of a worse China on land right now. I hope Japanese get something. I don't even know what to buff Japanese. They're trying, and they already did some changes, so I have a feeling they're not going to touch Japanese, but I hope they do. Mongol is receiving Khan Hunters. I think Ottoman probably okay. I personally would like to see military school production buffed a little bit more, and they nerf both Janissaries and Great Bombards. I think that would put Ottoman in A tier as a civilization, because the Ottomans' biggest problem is feudal, and they're completely broken in Imperial. So I would love for them to nerf Janissary, Great Bombard, and buff military school in feudal. China, I don't even know what to, like, I think China is fine as a civ. It's just not overpowered on land maps. I don't know what else to call it. Delhi, I'm hoping that we see some kind of changes for macro Delhi. I would love to play Delhi to TC. If you haven't played Delhi to TC, try it. It's actually very fun to play, but it's very hard to pull off. Malian, I hope they do something with the Saharan Trade Network landmark, because it sucks. So I hope they change it to something different than Manzakwari cows. Ayubid, I think right now is probably in a good spot as far as how diverse the civ is. Abbasid, I think, is fine. Byzantine just needs a nerf. English, maybe a bit one-sided towards the king right now, so I don't know how to really fix that. HRE, hoping for a nerf on Chapel, but we'll see. And then Rus Bounty is getting reworked. So we'll see. We will see. Either way, if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you so much for watching, brother. I appreciate you. Make sure to check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Beastyqt. I stream daily there. You can catch my games where I lose to people on the ladder. And if you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.